Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headache stack. Restlessness to hell and back.
One of the smartphones I've been most excited to check out this year is the Honor Robot phone, and the moment we got our hands on it, we had to unbox it. First, the oversized retail box immediately grabs your attention. It looks very similar to Honor's previous Porsche design packaging, so let's open it. There's a built-in handle on the box. Pull it and everything slides out smoothly. Big thanks to my tech partner over in China for providing this footage. I really appreciate the support in making this video happen. Hey everyone, Stella here from techiestreet. If you're into staying updated with the newest gadgets, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our latest tech content. Inside, you're greeted by what looks like a tiny gimbal pointed toward you. The packaging is incredibly creative, with magnetic closures and an asymmetrical design inspired by the robot phone itself. It even opens from both sides. And there it is, our first look at the phone. Honor isn't calling this just another smartphone, it's officially the robot phone. Now let's see what else is hiding inside. Underneath is another thick compartment. First is the SIM ejector tool, similar to the Porsche design version, but with glossy edges and a matte center. Next is the protective case, but there's something interesting attached to the back. Two small pouches connect to the magnetic case, along with a warning not to use it with a stand while wireless charging. There's also a compact black wrist strap and a frosted metal accessory that attaches directly to the case. It gives you a better grip while taking photos, helps prevent drops, and even works as a phone stand. Interestingly, the stand itself looks like a miniature gimbal. It has a premium anodized finish, and its built-in magnet holds the phone securely on a flat surface. Now, the case itself comes in gray with several cutouts around the body. These openings give the gimbal enough room to move freely. The soft rubber material feels comfortable, and once the accessory snaps into place, it feels extremely secure. Next are the charger and USB cable. This is Honor's latest 120-watt mini cube charger, which we've already tested. Despite its tiny size, it supports a wide range of charging protocols. There's also a USB-C to USB-C cable. And that's everything inside the box. Now let's focus on the phone itself. Before removing the film, there are several important warnings. Honor says not to force the gimbal, press it, drop the phone, or bump it. Many of you asked for a drop test, but honestly, this phone is already difficult to find, and breaking one wouldn't make replacing it any easier. There's also a reminder to unlock the slider before using the gimbal. The slider can be removed by moving it to the right, making cleaning easier. Honor also warns against using a lens protector, applying too much force to the slider, or interfering with the camera system. The phone has an in-display fingerprint scanner, while the SIM tray is on the left. When inserting the SIM, the front should face the display. Those are the main setup reminders. Now, let's finally remove the film. And wow, it's much smaller than I expected. I expected a full-sized flagship, but this actually has a compact 6.3-inch display. Don't let the size fool you though, it definitely doesn't feel light, weighing around 248 grams. And then your attention immediately goes to that massive rear camera module with its sliding lens mechanism. Let's slide it open. Oh, that's magnetic. You can actually feel the magnetic sections guiding everything into place before it snaps shut automatically. The sliding cover also protects the gimbal, meaning you can place the phone on a table without worrying about damaging it. Around the camera housing, you'll see f1.6, 23mm, and 200 megapixels, while AMAG is Honor's imaging brand. The Honor logo sits underneath. The back design also looks surprisingly familiar. Personally, it reminds me of the iPhone 17 series. The rear appears to be glass, which makes sense because the phone supports wireless charging. It has a textured finish that feels great in the hand. The surrounding frame is metal and blends so smoothly into the back that the entire phone almost looks like it has an all-metal body. You can also see several antenna lines around the frame. Another unusual detail is the built-in lanyard attachment point. It connects directly to the phone itself, a feature you rarely see without using a case. At the bottom is the dual SIM tray with a visible red waterproof sealing ring, plus one microphone opening. The phone has 4 microphones total. The main speaker is at the bottom, while CNC machined textures run along the metal frame. The gimbal module creates the only interruption. Up top, there's another speaker grill. Along the side are the power button, volume controls, and an extra side button. Since Honor calls this a robot phone, that additional button is likely for AI features. Beside the camera housing, you'll also find a ring flash, a 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera, and 200-megapixel periscope telephoto lens. That covers the hardware. Now let's turn it on and start the setup. When the phone lies flat, you can clearly see just how much the camera module protrudes. Up front, there's still a centered punch hole display. Even with the flip camera design, Honor didn't choose a completely uninterrupted screen. Sure, a true full-screen design would look even more futuristic, but practically, this makes more sense. Imagine scanning a QR code or using facial recognition and having to wait for the rear camera to pop up every time. Keeping the front camera is simply more convenient. Let's finish the setup. During activation, the phone shows another reminder almost identical to the safety instructions from the packaging. After confirming everything, we tap Done. And there we go, Magic OS 10 is ready. Let's tap Experience Now. The first thing you notice is the default black theme, creating a stylish, starry, space-like atmosphere. There are also quite a few pre-installed apps, and the moment we reach the home screen, something else is waiting, a brand new system notification. Let's start by updating the phone. The first system update is huge, around 3.09 gigabytes. Honor says it improves camera effects and the overall shooting experience. Honor also claims this is its most mechanically advanced smartphone ever. Inside the 3-axis mechanical gimbal are motors made from titanium alloy and Honor's high-strength premium steel, designed for both durability and precision. Now, let's see what this gimbal can actually do. After unlocking the phone, we open the camera app, grant permissions, and select the rear camera's attention mode. An AI intelligent tracking prompt appears, explaining that the large gimbal can automatically assist with shooting. At first, everything looks like a normal rear camera, but now let's activate the gimbal. Here it comes! The camera module actually rises. Before using it, we choose Portrait or Landscape. I'll select Portrait. Once activated, the gimbal automatically follows movement. Now I can record from the front and the interface completely changes. The shutter button becomes a framing indicator and a virtual joystick appears. Let's test it. Wow, it actually works. Moving left and right feels surprisingly responsive, taking about a second to reposition, and the front-facing image is incredibly sharp. With the built-in handheld gimbal underneath, the phone almost feels like a dedicated camera stabilizer. There's even an option in the notification bar to close the gimbal. Let's try it. The camera retracts. But what happens if the lens cover is closed and I open the camera app? As expected, the phone tells me to slide the lens cover open first. The camera refuses to extend while it's closed, meaning sensors are constantly checking the cover position. Slide it open, and there it goes. The gimbal rises perfectly. Looking inside the mechanism, the size is honestly surprising. A smartphone motherboard is normally extremely thin, but this gimbal assembly is massive. Let me try closing it manually. Nope. The phone tells me to open the gimbal cover first, so it can even detect whether the cover is properly positioned. That's clever. The gimbal takes up almost 2/3 of the phone's internal thickness. The display and motherboard occupy a much smaller area. And although the camera bump is already huge, there's really no easy alternative. A full 3-axis mechanical gimbal simply needs far more space than a standard smartphone camera. For me, though, the biggest highlight is the camera hardware. The main camera uses a 200-megapixel sensor, a large 1 by 1.28-inch sensor, and an f1.6 aperture. But does it also have OIS? Let's check. When I gently twist the phone, I can actually see the main camera moving slightly to compensate. That confirms it. The main camera also supports optical stabilization. So, when the gimbal is active, both systems work together. 3-axis mechanical stabilization plus OIS. That's seriously impressive. The dual joystick can also be reset, which is a useful touch. The 3-camera system works differently from something like DJI. Instead of switching directly between lenses, there's a dedicated lens switching button. There are also 5 tracking modes, including pitch lock, FPV, vertical FPV, super stable, and framing mode. Tap the joystick and automatic framing starts. The phone automatically keeps the subject centered without manual adjustment. That's a pretty impressive feature. Here's another interesting limitation. Once the gimbal extends, only 1x, 2x, and 4x zoom options remain, all using the main camera. The ultra-wide and telephoto cameras disappear while the gimbal is active. They return once the camera retracts. This could be designed to prevent sudden perspective changes while the gimbal is moving. Now, let's look at the other cameras. The telephoto uses a 200-megapixel 1 by 1.4-inch sensor, f2.6 aperture, and 2.7x optical zoom. There's also a 50-megapixel ultra-wide with an f2.0 aperture and macro photography down to 2.5 centimeters. Up front is a 50-megapixel selfie camera with an f2.0 aperture. The phone also includes Honor's self-developed H1 imaging chip, debuting with the robot phone. With this unique 3-axis gimbal, it's obvious who this phone is targeting: video creators. Both the main and telephoto cameras can record up to 4K 120 FPS in 10-bit log. It supports up to 14 stops of dynamic range, 422 IPB encoding, and real-time NAS preview. After Honor's collaboration with ARRI, there are several professional-level camera features. Let's switch to Master Cinema mode. Now we're inside the professional recording interface with options for aspect ratio, simulated cameras, focus peaking, and recording modes. You can even select ARRI Log C3 directly. Once enabled, the display turns to a flat gray image, exactly what you'd expect from a professional log profile. In this mode, you can shoot using the 12mm ultra-wide, 23mm main, 62mm telephoto, and 62mm periscope telephoto. But the gimbal camera isn't the only interesting feature. There are 2 additional shooting modes. First is rear panorama, which works like dedicated gimbal cameras by taking multiple images and stitching them together. It supports a 180-degree panorama and a 9-grade mode that combines 9 photos into one. Then there's front group photo. Let's take one. Done. The phone captured 3 separate photos and automatically merged them. Now let's check the result. The stitching worked successfully, and the phone even applied a beauty effect automatically. The final image looks excellent. The field of view is extremely wide, and the stitching is almost impossible to see. It's honestly hard to believe this single image was created by combining 3 separate photos.
Another huge highlight of the Honor robot phone is Honor's brand new H1 imaging chip. So what does it actually do? First, it improves clarity in both the live preview and final footage. It also performs better in difficult lighting. Bright areas are less likely to blow out, while dark areas retain more detail, giving you better dynamic range. And when combined with ARRI C3, the phone captures cleaner, more original footage with more image information. That gives creators much more flexibility during color grading and post-production. There's also an interesting detail about the gimbal. If you don't fully retract the camera into its resting position, the motor automatically stops and enters standby. You can then rotate the camera freely, but don't force it by hand because that could damage the motor. Now check out this lock screen wallpaper. It looks almost like a black hole, and honestly, it matches the phone's futuristic design perfectly. But here's where the 3-axis gimbal gets really interesting. One of its smartest features is voice tracking. Simply speak to the phone and it detects where your voice is coming from. The gimbal turns towards you, finds you, and keeps you in frame. It really does feel like a tiny robot. Another feature that could be extremely useful is automatic subject tracking during video calls and live streams. Imagine you're streaming on Douyin or having a WeChat video call alone. Put the phone on a table and walk around. Normally, you'd quickly leave the frame, but here, the gimbal follows you automatically. Move left and it turns left. Change direction and it keeps adjusting to keep you visible. For solo creators, this could be a game changer. The phone also has a dedicated starry sky mode for photographing the night sky. It can even capture star trails and rocky landscapes using specialized modes. But the gimbal isn't just about cameras. It also adds some surprisingly fun features, including yo-yo robot mode. Here, the gimbal physically moves while the screen shows different facial expressions. You can even talk to it, making the phone feel like a tiny robotic head responding to you. And when music plays, the gimbal can actually dance to the rhythm. It's playful, but it gives the phone a lot of personality. Here is another fun example. Imagine you're at a party and say, "The most handsome person here is paying the bill tonight." The gimbal rotates around, searches for someone, and then stops on the person it chooses. Obviously, it's just for fun, but it's a clever demonstration of the tracking system. And with that, we've reached the end of our first hands-on experience with the Honor robot phone. But this is only the beginning. We'll be bringing you a full, in-depth review very soon, so make sure you don't miss it. In that review, we'll seriously test the 3-axis gimbal's image quality, compare it with mainstream smartphone gimbal cameras, and even put it head-to-head against the iPhone, one of the best-known phones for video recording. We'll also test battery life, performance, and everything you need to know before buying this phone, so stay tuned to Geek Night for the full testing and detailed review. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!